So what's your PhD about?
My PhD is currently titled Mid-Tudor Ballads, Music, Words and Context, and it looks at the ballads of what's commonly known as the mid-Tudor crisis period, about 1530 to 1570. Obviously it's a time when there was a lot of upheaval in the monarchy, religion, social change, inflation, that sort of thing. And it looks at how those changes were reflected in the popular culture and the ballads.
And how have you gone about doing your research? What's your methodology been?
Well, most of my work is done from home because I'm also a main carer for my 3 children. So I tend to work from internet archives like EBA and EBO, and if it weren't for them, to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to pursue this PhD, so it's a real boon to me. Aside from that, I have done a couple of research trips, for example, to the British Library and to local archives in Cambridge, Oxford and in the Northwest to look at things like letters and other things that you can use as context for them, and to actually go and see some of the broadsides themselves in print, which is always fabulous.
So why do you think your research is important? What original contribution do you think you're making to the field?
Well, although there's been an awful lot of work on, for example, 17th century ballads, particularly ballads around the Civil War and in the run-up to the Civil War, there's been a lot less work on the 16th century ballads. There are less in print, there are more in manuscript, and that brings up questions of what actually constitutes a ballad. But also there's been a lot less work on the music of the ballads, and my work is intended to place the ballads firmly back in their musical context, so it looks at analysing the tunes as well as the actual words.
And finally, why Manchester?
Manchester was where I did my undergraduate degree, which was an awfully long time ago now, so it was the obvious choice really for me when I decided I wanted to come back and do my PhD. The expertise in the area that I wanted to look at was particularly, good at Manchester. There's an expert on the music side in the music department, and there was a particularly good scholar in the history department who could supervise my history work.